welcome to the Prepared Mind channel. I'm John, the host, and we talk about shit-hitting the fan a lot. It's a rather negative subject, right? It's been a part of humanity and human life and living and existing for eternity. We're just now starting to experience it, though. What's causing it, the consequences, where it could lead. As things get worse, society, government, subcultures all start to understand the potentials. Like we're seeing the discussion now coming from politicians saying we're going to have civil war, coming from economists who are going, we're going to have a collapse. And all of these groups are saying you need to get prepared, right? But it's kind of a negative topic. So I wanted to talk about something a little more uplifting. I want to talk about the concept of inspiration and how do you keep inspiration in your life? What does it do for you? Right? We all have a purpose. Discovering that purpose is hard enough. It really is. It's difficult to discover the purpose. And inspiration, which is what helps drive us into that purpose. That, right, is hard to find. So it's really hard to find the positives in this world. And because it's a Shit It's the Fan channel, I wanted to do something a little different and talk about inspiration. Even if your purpose right now is getting prepared, you need to be inspired about it for the right reasons, not for all of the negative ones, but also the right reasons, the good reasons. So I wanted to talk about inspiration, what inspires me, so that maybe it'll be beneficial. The discussion about it, maybe some of the topics and people and events and things that have happened, but knowing that shit is going to hit the fan, but it shouldn't be the end of the world. Right? Because when we get through it to the other side, we're going to need to be inspired to get out of it, right? So again, let's start with purpose. What is the reason to be? The raison d'etre, our purpose in life, and what inspires us, and what is inspiration, right? Inspiration isn't hunger, and food inspires me. I mean, I guess it could be good food, different food, interesting food. Maybe that inspires you. But I think inspiration, it's part emotion, which is tough for us INTJ types to deal with, but there's emotion in it, and part intellect, because you think about it. And the different levels for different people. Some maybe it's all emotion, and some maybe it's all intellectual. But for me, I can sense the emotion because it's there and you just feel it, and it's amazing, right? So it appeals to us as individuals in different ways. But what it does is inspiration, when you're truly inspired, it blows you away. That's true inspiration. So let me get into some of the things that have inspired me. And then I want to end this in an interesting way. It's going to probably surprise a lot of you. I hope so. But I want you to be inspired. So to start with, right, my idea in life was to get married, have a family, buy a house, raise kids, successful business. That was the American dream, and that inspired me. It drove me, right, along with the characters and events, but that was my goal, and so it inspired and drove me to accomplish goals. And I've told you guys in the past, I've done everything in life, with very few exceptions. I've accomplished all of those goals and tasks. So what inspires me today? My sons inspire me. I've got two of them. Only two kids. Otherwise, I'm sure I would have heard from a court, long ago. Anyways, I've got my sons. They're smart. That inspires me. They're both much smarter than me. They're funny. They've got interesting senses of humor. They do. It's like, why are you laughing? Over the years, I've just said, why are you laughing? And they're smirking. They got some funny senses of humor. They're hardworking. Both of them got jobs in high school, worked in high school, and are now working their way into life. And they're thoughtful, they're loving, they're dedicated, intelligent young men, and they inspire me because they're still young and idealistic. And I was young and idealistic once, and I want to get back there. I want to get inspired. I want purpose, right? I'm all prepared, but is that the end of my purpose? No. But if you're not prepared and you need to get there, you need inspiration. In fact, I think we need inspiration throughout all of our lives. And it's important. When shit hits the fan, you're going to need something positive and uplifting and inspiring, right? Inspiration is a lot of things for a lot of people. Like I said, it can be emotion or intellect or a combination. It's not pride. Can you be inspired by pride? Well, no, yes, probably, some. How about fame, accomplishments, the goodness, the popularity of something? It's personal to us, to each of us. What inspires us? It's very personal, and it can be those things: pride, fame, accomplishment, goodness, popularity, success. That's what's really fabulous about inspiration, is it's not any one thing. You can't pin it down. It has everything to do with your soul and your intellect and your intelligence and your geography. It has everything to do with that, where you're coming from, where you're going, right? It's personal to each of us. But the question I have is, does it light your fire? Does it get you excited? Does it blow you away? That's what inspiration is. So at different times in my life, depending on what I'm doing, studying, thinking, etc., I've had different forms of inspiration. Like I said, at the end, I'm going to talk about what is inspiring me right now and why. So let's start with, I started with my sons. Let's move on to philosophers. I like to think. And so thinkers and philosophers have inspired me through my life. Because when I think and I realize and I learn within my own mind, right, it blows me away. That how the mere thought, the spoken word, to hear thinkers or to read them is incredible. So Socrates, Nietzsche, Thomas Jefferson, Thomas Paine, Carl Jung, and Confucius. Those are the examples of thinkers and philosophers that have really inspired me in my life. It's like, pow! Set you on fire, man. Your brain just comes alive, right? And another type of inspiration I have comes from idealists. Idealists, someone that, and to me, it's important. An idealist is someone who believes what they believe, and they believe it so strongly, and it has a profound influence on their life and the lives of others. So I wanted to say idealists that have really inspired me and just blown me away. The two characters that most would do it, I guess, would be Mahatma Gandhi and Jesus, Yeshua ben Yosef, right? They've inspired and changed the world in a positive way. I mean, there's negatives everywhere, but again, this is about inspiration and positive, right? Someone could say, look, Confucius, give me a break, John, or Nietzsche, oh man, that was used by others for nefarious purposes in some cases. Yeah, well, for me, it's inspired goodness. This is about you and your life and what could inspire you. And so inspiration doesn't come from one source. It can, depends on what you need and how you work. Or if you have many sources of inspiration that you can draw upon. Every part of my life, I draw upon different sources. So a military inspiration, right? I look to the military, I go, man, what did that accomplish? Well, yeah, people died. There was conquest. There was all kinds of bad things, but also it's inspirational to think of Genghis Khan, who covered more square miles than any other conqueror, especially considering the time, the transportation, the logistics of doing what he did. It's inspiring. Scary, but inspiring, right? It was amazing what he accomplished. And, just the sheer magnitude of it, his genetics, just spread all throughout Asia. And Asia is a big place, right? Another one would be General Smedley Butler. He inspires me, not for his military exploits, even though he's the most decorated Marine soldier, military vet ever. But General Smedley Butler, USMC, had integrity. Integrity in the military. He was offered the position basically to run the military for the coup d'etat that occurred with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he exposed what they did and were saying and were putting out there. And his integrity saved our country. Nobody really knows about that. But that's the military, someone with that type of war record. It was inspiring to me to learn that. It's like, wow, he was offered everything, right? But he did it for the right reasons. Another one would be General Douglas MacArthur. He inspires me because that man had big balls. And he stood for what he stood for. And he was punished for it. Right? I don't admire the victimization of him. I admire the fact that he said, no, this is what I believe and what we should do. Right or wrong, that's the inspiring part of General MacArthur. Now, Douglas MacArthur, just another man. There are tons and tons, hundreds of military men that have done fantastic, amazing things. In my little military life, there were enlisted men and officers, but you just wouldn't know who they are, so that's why they don't make it to the list. This list is basically for people that you know of, that I know of, that have inspired me to greatness. Moving along, I move to explorers. These are people that have gone out into the world. They've explored, right? And so I've got a few here that are a group and then an individual. So some of these great explorers, what does an explorer do? They take risk. They're risk takers. They want to learn, and they step into the unknown. And the shit it's the fan idea, it's an unknown future, right? We don't know what's going to happen in it. We don't know what's going to happen on the other side of it. So the concept of new ground, exploration, the future, what's in front of us, explorers can inspire us. And the ones that inspire me the most are Polynesian sailors, believe it or not. No compasses, no maps, a giant ocean, and they sailed it. And they found the islands, and then they were able to travel from island to island throughout the entire Pacific without maps. And they did it by learning, by teaching, by paying attention. They were explorers, but they were connected to the world in a unique and special way. And Islanders I just really love. Pacific Islanders are amazing people. I love them as a people, and I respect everything about them. It's great. They inspire me to be a better person. They inspire me to explore new ideas. Another set of explorers that people don't talk about so much are the Vikings. Vikings went east, Vikings went west. They couldn't really go north because that was the North Pole, and they went south. Now there's nasty things about the Vikings, as I've said, right, in the past, and the people that we look to inspiration from, right? They aren't necessarily good people, always, but they do inspiring things that if we could get that little bit of fire from them and see it in ourselves, it makes it a wonderful thing, right? For us, doesn't mean you have to be like them or do what they did, but to get that inspiration, that fire, right? Another one would be Admiral Byrd. Yeah, I guess he is admirable. Admiral Byrd, Rear Admiral Byrd of the U.S. Navy, 20th century hero, great explorer that doesn't get talked about, except in certain circles. But he explored and went to the North Pole and the South Pole. Nearly froze to death doing his explorations, led massive naval expeditions. Just an amazing character, very inspiring that he went to extremes. He's an extreme explorer that way. In a world where everyone thought there's nothing left to see or to explore, he got there, right? Very interesting. And then there are our leaders. I mean, who leads you? Who inspires you? And I picked two that literally inspire me and are my favorites to look to for leadership. And again, imperfect humans. But they had admirable qualities, inspiring qualities. One of them is George Washington because of his integrity. He's got guts. He went up against the British Empire, fighting with a ragtag bunch of ding-dongs. Won. He's got guts for standing up to that, and he's got integrity. He was offered kingship. We could have had here in America King George Washington. Nope. He didn't want it. He knew it wasn't good. It was bad. He had guts. He had integrity. Just like I talked about Smedley Butler having integrity. George Washington was the commander of the Continental Forces, but he was also President George Washington, philosopher George Washington, a decent man George Washington, imperfect like all of us, including you, including me, right? But he had integrity. The other one would be political leader would be Andrew Jackson. Washington said no to kingship, and he said no to a king. And Andrew Jackson, for all of his failures, said no to bankers. He was a politician that said, not only am I going to be a decent person, but I'm going to go against the bad things and push back on the bad things. And he is a controversial subject. But I tell you what, if you don't like Andrew Jackson and you don't like George Washington, any paper that you have with their pictures on it, you can send them to me. That's right. Send them to me in PayPal. I'll take them. I'll take all of your Andrew Jacksons and George Washingtons. That'll be great. I'll be helping you, and you'll be helping me. Because the more portraits of Andy and George I've got, the happier I can be. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure can make you comfortable while you're trying. All right. And then one of the things I've grown up with has been this idea that sports figures, our national pastime is baseball, but we've included basketball, hockey, football, and many other sports. And sporting figures, they tried making into role models. And we've kind of lost that. But they can be very inspirational. So I've got one from my past, and I've got one from the present. The one from the past is Bill Kazmaier. He's 3-time World's Strongest Man champion. He was a football player at one point. He was a professional wrestler at one point. But he really made his name in strength sports. And I met him when I was a jarhead. Met him in person, did a training session that he did with us at Cherry Point. An incredible beast of a human. But a good man, a gentle giant. But when you watch him compete, it will set you on fire. It'll light your shit up and blow you away. He did some exhibitions for us, and it was awe-inspiring. As a result of that, just thinking about Bill puts goosebumps on my arm. Inspires you, right? I myself, when I was younger, I was thinner, I was strong, but standard-looking athlete. And I played all the sports. I loved baseball and played recreational football a lot. Later in life, got into golf, but I used to do those contact sports. And one of the roughest sports I ever played was basketball. Jiminy Crickets. I played Marine Corps rugby on the Marine Corps team. But I got into bodybuilding and strongman later, and competed in strongman. Basically because Bill inspired that in me. Inspired me as a young man. And inspiration, when it sets you on fire, when you feel an adrenaline rush, right? If you do something crazy and exciting, you get an adrenaline rush. But when you think with your mind, you can get an adrenaline rush just from thinking about something. That's inspiration. Your purpose in life, man, you get that drive. So Bill did that. And now we are finally to what is driving me today? What is inspiring me today? I saw something months and months ago, and it's continuing to haunt me and hound me and inspire me. And like I said, we need purpose in life. I've done everything, almost. So where does a guy like me get inspiration? I know shit's going to hit the fan. So how can I see good in the world? How can I be inspired to live if I know things are going to go bad? What can inspire me? You know, and I'm an old guy, and I found it. I truly found it. You know, just talking about all of these people, these events, these groups, these things that have occurred. You know, what they still inspire me, but what is going to drive me now? What's going to set me on fire? What's going to keep me going? Right? What is it? Well, believe it or not, there's a high school kid. And his name is Matthew Boling. Boling. Matthew Boling. He graduated high school. And he just inspired me crazy. I caught him on a news broadcast. He's one of 2 high school boys who did a 100-meter dash in less than 10 seconds. And I saw that and I thought, that's pretty amazing. That dude's fast. You know, and it reminded me of when I was a kid, what Carl Lewis was doing. Carl Lewis was fast. And, you know, he just a great long jump. I mean, to watch him, the man flew. You talk about Michael Jordan flying. Carl Lewis just flew through the air. An incredible athlete, a gentleman, you know, and that's what runners can inspire me. But this kid, right? It's like, what's going to inspire me and drive me now? And there go the goosebumps again. This kid, why is he so inspiring to me? You know, I thought, wow, you know, what is it that inspires? Well, he's young, so he has a future. As a prepper, I want to know there's a future out there. I want to be inspired to see it, to do all the hard work to get there, right? So this kid, Matthew Boling, he started out in longer running, 200 meter, 400 meter run, but he decided he was going to try this 100-meter thing, and he's a phenom. It's crazy. You know, you can go to YouTube and look him up under Matthew Boling, and he's incredible. He's so fast. He's not just running. He has done pole vaulting, long jump, triple jump, high jump, the different running events. And he could be a decathlete. He wants to go to the Olympics, and it's inspiring me in an interesting way. But see, it's not just the sports. He's a young guy, and he's got a grade point average of 4.23. He's very smart, and again, you know, chance favors the prepared mind. It's about thinking and intelligence. This kid's very smart, and he's applying himself. And everyone says he came out of nowhere. And he says, no, I've been doing this a long time. His dad spoke about him. I watched an interview with his dad because I'm curious, what is driving this kid? And his dad goes, it's not genetic, right? I'm not a great athlete. I think his mom did run track, but he's not. The dad is just a dad. He's a business entrepreneur, but, you know, his son, he said, is dedicated. He trains hard. He practices what he does. He's dedicated, he's focused, and he's this young guy with all this potential, and his whole life is in front of him. So I'm rooting for this kid the same way I root for my own sons. At the same time, he inspires me because he's achieved this greatness. And I could tell you about my sons all day long and bore the ever-loving shit out of you, but you'll never be able to see them or know how they do. But this Matthew Boling kid, you can follow, you can watch, you can see, right? And I've got all these great memories of my kids and their accomplishments, everything they do, you know, and that it inspires me greatly. But this other kid, you know, he's out there for all of us to look at if you want to, if it inspires you. My thing is find what inspires you. Find what just blows you away, whatever sets you on fire. What makes the adrenaline flow, just seeing it and learning about it. And keep that fire for yourself. Grab some of it, right? And be inspired in life, right? Be inspired. You know, hard work digging deep, not giving up, not quitting, seeing a future, kicking some ass. All of those things is inspiring. You know, I try with my videos to inspire people to get prepared, to give them the reasons to do it, you know, to see what's coming. All of those things that drive me, give me energy, and I want to give it to you guys, right? But where do I get my fire from? All of these things I've talked about. But I really invite you to watch this Matthew Boling kid. At least a couple of his races he's done. He's out of high school. He went down to the Pan American Games, and believe it or not, he came because he is the fastest 100-meter dash high schooler ever. Currently, he's sitting on the record 998. You know, incredible, like he shot out of a gun. Incredible runner. It got the attention of many, including Carl Lewis, who is reported to have flown down to watch him, Matthew Boling, in the Pan American Games down in Costa Rica. And the kid did great. He got 4 gold medals, I believe, down there. Relays, he's the second fastest ever, coming just out of high school, not in college, but fastest ever, second fastest ever 100-meter dash. He wants to be as fast as Usain Bolt, and that's insanely fast. He studies running, he studies and trains and is dedicated, and it's so inspiring to know that about another human. And it's something that we can get from him, and he'll get something from us, knowing we're cheering for him. And it's good to see a winner. It's good to know that you can win, that there is hope, right? Not just hope, but inspirational hope. And like I said, the world is so negative. I had to do this video. I had to do something inspirational and talk about what inspires me, right? Knowing this kid, he's still a young man, but he's a young man. He's, 18, going to be 19 here pretty quick, I think. But just a rocket. And he's got so much potential in front of him. And to see someone do those things, he's going to be hopefully in the Olympics next year. But he's not even 21, right? Can't even go buy a beer. I don't think he would. He went to Houston Strake Jesuit College Prep High School. He's a very decent, moral type of person. And I hope he makes it. I hope he accomplishes all his goals, because I hope that I do. I hope that I've got more goals and purpose in life. Right? I do. I have more purpose and more goals. And I want to get there. So I need to be inspired to go through the work. This kid, he's got his whole life in front of him. I want to see him get those goals. I want to see and know he worked hard and that he got there. Right? And that there's a world for people like him, men and women, it doesn't matter. They can do it if they work hard, if they commit themselves, if they stay inspired, if they set themselves on fire and just go for it. It's so important and so critical to life. That is what has driven humanity, right? In a way that animals can't do. Animals hunt and forage by necessity. But we do it as humans for a different reason. For what's in here, our souls and our heart, and what's up here in our minds and our intellect. And yeah, watch this Matthew Boling kid. And, to know that he trains for weeks and months, hours and hours every day, in the gym, on the track. At the same time, he does all of that. He'll be studying in college. He's going to go to Georgia. I think his twin brother, who's not an exact twin, but his twin is going to Georgia also, who is valedictorian at Jesuit, which is saying something. And I've known Jesuit graduates, and it's a good education. They're both going there. But he's training for days, hours at a time, days on end, for months to have one race, or 2 races, or 3 in a competition, But it's not like football where you train and then you get to show it every week for an hour continuous, pow, 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 pow. In baseball, 9 innings, bang, 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 every day or every other day in baseball. These runners train for weeks and weeks and months, much like mixed martial arts fighters. And then they come out and they showcase what they've done. And so they don't get accolades every day. This is the important part here. They don't get accolades every day. Nobody knows how hard it is they work until they have that race. And the race can last 10 seconds. Or in the case of a 400, or 200 is 20 seconds. And a 400 is about 45 seconds for these fast guys. To know they put all that energy and effort secretly, quietly, inspiring themselves. And through that, I get inspiration. And when they get to race and they win and succeed, they show you the human spirit and how strong it is. And that's important, especially when we go into darker times. Moving from all of that inspiration out there that I've taken, I bring it into here. Be inspired, right? Get something that blows you away and make it yours, right? Get prepared. Live a good life. Be a good person, right? Help others. Don't hurt others. Help yourself. Don't hurt yourself. It's so valuable and so important. And that's what drives me to do what I do and to plan what I plan, because there's things out in front I want to get to. And there's ways that I want to see this world improved. And so I do what I can. And that's why I do this channel, to talk to you folks, just a relative handful of thousands of people that have decided I'm worth listening to, right? That inspires me, knowing you guys get value out of me. And I want to thank you for watching, sharing, sponsoring me, helping others, helping yourself. For God's sake, if you can't help others until you help yourself, thank you so much for everything. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. Inspiration. Godspeed.